Hi, this is Jennifer from Positively Learning, and today we are talking about behavior charts. And I'm going to be sharing some positive behavior solutions, but I'm also going to be sharing why some behavior charts are just not effective. In fact, you may have seen this title and kind of possibly done an eye roll and thought, oh, yeah, been there, done that. They don't really work or they don't work for long term. And I get it. I have been there too. And some of them just didn't work. But as I have supported teachers and students and families, I have learned a lot along the way about some of the reasons why some work better and some just don't. So, what we're looking at right now is a blog post. I'll be sure to link it below so that you can see some more details about what we're talking about today. All right, so I want to move this to what I refer to as the life cycle of a behavior chart. Now, one of the things I want to assume when we're talking about behavior charts is that we've done the background work. What is the background work? We have gotten a chance to build a relationship with this child or a student. We have determined what behaviors we want to see, what behaviors are not working for the child or our classroom, probably both. And we have gotten to know more about this child to decide if a behavior chart is even appropriate. Because for some, that could really backfire. A chart is not going to help them. So, right off the bat, one of the reasons a behavior chart may not work or may not seem effective is that we haven't done that background work. Now, many times we do the background work, but we might go a little too fast. And the intentions are good. We want to help this child quickly. Like this isn't working for anybody. We want to fix this. And we've had success maybe with a type of behavior chart with another child, so let's try it here. And so it's the process is rushed a little bit, but the intentions are good. You want to solve the issue. So definitely do not rush the background work. Of course, don't skip the background work. But there's also a little bit more. So let's fast forward and say that we have determined that the behavior chart is an appropriate way to support the student. Now we're looking at the life cycle of a behavior chart. You can see it goes from left to right, and you can see at the very beginning it is low. This is where we're having discussions. Maybe it's the general educator, the special educator, the school psychologist, maybe the IEP team. We're having a discussion because there is a problem that needs to be solved. So that is where our behavior chart, if we've determined that appropriate, goes into place. The stage one is the target behavior has been identified and the behavior plan has been made. Now, I want to mention right here, I've done this, you may have done this, or have seen this done before. When I mention stage one, I am talking about a target behavior. Most charts that I see are not talking about a target behavior. They're talking about several behaviors that we want to distinguish, or several behaviors that are positive that we want to reinforce. But I know that the more behaviors you're trying to do at the same time really tends to decrease the effectiveness of the chart. That doesn't mean you're going to ignore all the other behaviors, but you're going to be focusing in on one. So how do you make that choice? Choose the behavior that is the least safe. It is the unsafe behavior if there is one. So while throwing papers on the floor, yelling in the classroom is so disruptive, leaving the room, being out of the sight of an adult, or putting hands on another, or behavior similar to that, that would take the priority. That would be the target behavior. And the good news is when you do have a behavior chart that is working for everybody, those other behaviors often improve as well because the overall like environment and experience for the student is also improving. So you still maybe need to target those next, but let's make it a priority just to choose one. All right, so that's stage one. Stage two is awesome. Look at that. It goes way up. This is where you may have had some doubting members of this conversation, and they're like, wait a minute, this is really working. This is awesome. Okay, so why would this behavior chart fail? Many times it's so easy to do when things are going well, you fade them away, possibly too quickly. So you might be less consistent. And again, the intentions might be really good. You don't want to have a student dependent on a behavior chart. There's many reasons to fade it, but oftentimes we fade it when things are going really well and that support kind of drops out. Even if you are being consistent, I want to draw your attention to stage 3. After there is a honeymoon phase and everyone's happy, you're keeping it going, everything's going great, you're doing exactly what we're all agreed to do. There can still be a pretty abrupt drop because the honeymoon phase has ended. Maybe this is the child is saying, is this for real? Are you really going to be there for me? Are you really going to be consistent in the good ways and in the maybe not so good ways, like you are enforcing a consequence? The main thing is that it needs to stay super consistent and the child's testing you to see if that's true or not. So this is another place that people sometimes quit the chart. I would hear the same words. I'm sure I've thought the same thing. This doesn't work. This doesn't work anymore. I'm right back where we started. And yes, it feels that way. In fact, it sometimes even feels worse. You can see this is not as low as where we started, but boy, after this and that abrupt fall from grace, it doesn't feel good at all. At all. But it's normal. This is the life cycle of a behavior chart. Okay, so we've talked about some of the reasons a behavior chart doesn't work. We have to do our background work. Even if we want to go, 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 move forward quickly, we still need to gather more information. Then we implement a chart. We've determined that's the best, and we are riding high. Things are going well, so we stop. Please don't do that. Or maybe things were going well, we kept it going, crash. They crashed down, and we stopped because this is clearly not working. Please don't stop there either. Look at the rest of the picture. I call the stages 4, 5, 6, and so on. It's going to be as long as it needs to be. We do not put time frames on a behavior chart. I would say the honeymoon is often 2 weeks, just with the age group that I worked with, but this can be 6 weeks. This can be 3 months. This can be 10 days. I don't know. This just depends on the consistency, of course, and the environment. Like what's going on? It's okay to take a long time as long as we are staying consistent. And of course, look at the end. You can see what's happening. That path is moving in the correct direction. All right, so we've talked about some reasons of why a behavior chart may fail before we get to this end point, and hopefully some of the things I've shared have like given you like made some connections. I know that this is all based on my own experience of some charts that didn't work so well and some that did. I would say, like, if we put a round number on it, let's say I have created and implemented 100 charts. I'm sure that number is too low, but say I've done 100 charts. I would say 95% follow this very similar path to this. So there is one more place that I want to address. And again, like this is not a blame situation. You can see that a lot of decisions that don't work out the way we hope is based on well-meaning intentions. Like we want the best. We want the best for our students or our child. We want the best for our entire classroom, which includes us too. So I just want to scroll down to show you this. I will be sure to link this blog post so you can see it. I do believe in visual charts, if that's what if a chart is appropriate for your student. And one thing I want to mention is I think that chart system that you put into place should be as simple as it can be. You can always make it more complicated, but it is really hard to take a complicated system and cut it down. I mean, you can fade it out. That's a little bit of a different conversation, but just to cut it down. And what I mean by that is, say, for example, you have a individualized plan. That's what we want, but it's pretty dependent on you. I have seen this with other teachers and myself. And when a child moves to another support in the school, another environment, like say they're going to specials or related service providers or working, with admin, that behavior chart and all of the success they've had does not transfer. And of course, it's not always going to. We always have an adult that we kind of gravitate towards more. But like I've seen some that really don't transfer. And then what if that teacher that created this plan is out for a few days and no one can replicate it the same way you can? We want to be really careful of that. We want to make it as simple as possible while still providing support. Does that mean it's going to be simple? Not really. That might not be appropriate, but I would make it as simple as possible so that this child can have success in multiple environments. So I'm going to show you some examples of some sustainable systems. These are done for you, so they're in a bundle. You can check them out. Or maybe listening to why they are very successful will spark an idea that's going to be better for your student. One example of a sustainable chart would be one that is student focused and the student is the one filling it in. That's really awesome. I don't know how many times I've had multiple charts. I have like a line at my table with students like needing their sticker, stamp, secret handshake, whatever it is. You don't want that. That's not good for anybody. So here's an example of a very sustainable system. This is a set of 30 color by code. The color by code were selected because they were pretty simple and engaging. There are, I believe, there's 10 sections on every page, and a child, like you've determined what that target behavior is and what they need to do. Positive approach to color in one of those squares. You do not do any crossing off if that positive behavior is not exhibited or whatever's been predetermined. They simply do not color it in. So this is a visual chart. The picture is going to start off black and white, and they're going to color it in as the time goes on. And then by the end of the day, we hope there's a colored in picture. That is really simple to sustain, to implement and sustain. They get a new color by code every day. You can have maybe a non-verbal gesture with the student, like a point or a head nod or a wink or something that has been determined. Let the student choose, and that they know when they can color in one of those sections. So that's an idea. Very similar is a punch card, where I like these because they are much more discreet. So they come like 6 to a page, and you can just cut them out. You can prep them so that they are just easy to hand one out every day. That's like really low prep. Now, I will say there's a good chance I would not be hole punching. I would be putting a check mark or a star, or I guess you could do stickers. I probably would not be able to handle that either as the teacher, busy day. But one thing I do really like is, and I put a picture of it right here, there's some Crayola stampers where they look like markers, but like when you press them on the paper, they leave like a little stamp. And those are a lot of fun. They're not like super fun to create with because they're it would take a lot of stamps to create with, but for this type of small little section that you're stamping in, I think that is a great idea. And that would be something like kind of a novelty. Okay, so that's an idea. Again, student focused, students in charge of this. Now, this one I love. I absolutely love. So I learned this trick from another teacher, as a teacher I co-taught with. And I did not do it the way she did it, but I want to share it with you because I think it is a fantastic idea. So one thing that's a little different between these connect the dot pictures, there's 30 pictures in there, all different pictures and themes. One thing that's a little bit different than the color by code is they are going to be earning their dots to color, but these have many more dots to earn. So you could have them do like 2 dot to dots per segmented time that you're giving a reward for. Remember, these have 10, these have 10, these have quite a bit more. And I had them listed out so you know exactly how many more, how many are on there before the day begins. It's not like this child's like, it's 3:30 p.m. and I still have like 42 more to go. No, we don't want to do that. All right, but what this teacher did that I thought was so creative is that when the day was starting, she did the dot to dot in one of those invisible inks. And then the student had like the corresponding marker where you write over the dot to dot and like the color reveals itself. I really like that too because that's like less messy and it's a little bit more novelty. It's like something special that they've got, something special for this child. It's a positive experience. I thought that was really smart. So your prep would be to print out these 30 pages and to take that marker and complete the dot to dot. In this case, you'd go around in that circle and then making sure that child has that marker and that when you give that signal, they can match one or two or whatever you've determined. So that is another sustainable idea. This can transfer to other teachers. There's not like some, again, it's like secret handshake or 17 different things to keep track of. No, this is something that travels with the child. They're in charge. So much easier. Other teachers will definitely appreciate that. And then the last one is like kind of a variation on the theme. It's 10 frames. And the 10 frames have all different themed pictures. So they are fun. And they can either color in the 10 frame, put a star, put a check, color in like the little picture. In this case that you're looking at, it's Play-Doh, like little smashed pieces. Or they can take the bottom of the 10 frame and cross them out as they earn them or color them in as they earn them, whatever you want to do. But there's 30 pages of those as well. So just some fun stuff. It's like kind of a twist on behavior charts, but it puts the child in charge, puts them in the driver's seat, which I think is a fantastic idea, and I've seen it be really successful. So I hope that this gives you a lot of hope and feel supported to try it out again or try it out for the first time and maybe make some adjustments to what happens before the chart gets put in place. Maybe this gives you some suggestions of how you can support other teachers who might be feeling frustrated because you've got this knowledge, and it gives you some ideas of the different types of charts that might be really easy to put into place with your students and successful. All right, I'll be sure to link this up below. Please let me know if you have any questions, and be sure to hit subscribe because there are so many more videos on the way.